What's up, guys? Brett Appley here from DailyFanMMA.com, back with another UFC Quick Picks on the Mayo Media Network. We have UFC Vegas 74 this weekend. Kai Kara-France versus Amir Albazi in the main event. It is a crazy DraftKings slate, as we will touch into, with a ton of major values. It's going to make you just got to be unique. You just got to be unique on this slate because there's some insane chalk. But it should make for a fun slate, and I think we're going to see an entertaining slate throughout. So, as always, I'm going to give you my favorite cash game play, tournament play, salary play, and a matchup I like from a DraftKings perspective. Before I get into that, make sure you like the channel, subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment below. Why don't you tell me the spot that you're going to be unique in? I know you may not want to give away your secrets, but if you have to be unique somewhere, who's that fighter going to meet? Who's that fighter going to be? That's really what's going to separate you from the field this week. Without further ado, let's get into my cash game play of the week. That's going to be Jamie Mullarkey at 6.7K. All right, I'm going with Jamie Mullarkey this week in cash games. He isn't even the necessarily most obvious option anymore, with Jim Miller having a replacement as well. But Mullarkey was priced as the cheapest fighter on the slate at 6.7K. His opponent, Guram Kutateladze, pulled out. Now Mullarkey is, as of Thursday afternoon, the biggest favorite on the slate, pushing minus 500 in spots at 6.7K. He needs to be in your cash game lineups against Muhammad Naimov. Mullarkey also has the best inside distance line on this slate at minus 135. Naimov taking the fight on very short notice, sort of a well-rounded regional fighter, has a little bit of wrestling and striking in his game, some power, I should say, but questionable cardio. And what really strikes me is, in some of his losses, his defensive wrestling instincts, I don't think are there. He gets taken down and is just immediately mounted, immediately gives up his back. So Mullarkey, a well-rounded fighter himself, averages 2.6 takedowns per 15 minutes, 4.13 strikes landed per minute as well, has some good wins, fought good competition, some power in his game, just a well-rounded hard worker. So Mullarkey's not the most trustworthy fighter in the sport. He does get hit, he can be hurt, he can be taken down, but this should be a good opponent for him, and his metrics are just totally off the charts. You can get different in tournaments, of course, but in cash games, I think you just take the salary savings at 6.7K, plug in your minus 500 favorite in Mullarkey, and cash in on whether it's 80 to 100 points or more. So Mullarkey will be my cash game play of the week at 6.7K. All right, my tournament play of the week, I have to go here to my fellow Timasochists. This one's for you. We're going with Tim Elliott at 9K flat. Tim Elliott has had a tough go of life, as it sounds, as he's aired out on Twitter recently. And it's always tough to be super comfortable in his matchups, but I do think this is a good fight for him against Victor Altamirano. Elliott's minus 175 to win, and I think Daniel Santos and Karine Silva will be the chalk in that top end at 9.3K, 9.2K respectively. Elliott saves a little bit of salary, not that you need it, but is it just a pivot off the chalk? And this is a good matchup for Elliott to grapple, though I'm unsure whether he will, because he's already said on Twitter that he's searching for a knockout and is going to do some wild shit. Those are his words, not mine. But he averages 3.7 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he's fighting an opponent who, in his 4 tracked fights, has given up 8 takedowns. And he's given up 8 takedowns against weak competition like Carlos Candelario, Carlos Hernandez, Vinicius Salvador. Elliott is a good wrestler and grappler and scrambler and should be able to have takedown success if he chooses to go there. He's famously put up 150 DraftKings points in 3-round decisions multiple times, and not saying he has that kind of upside here, but I'm at least willing to take some risks on Elliott. He doesn't project out as the best rated fighter on the slate. He's only plus 375 inside the distance, but that's going to contribute to him being a little bit lower owned than some other options in this top end. And I'm not saying you can't play Karine Silva, or Daniel Santos. But if you also want to play the Amir Albazis and Jamie Malarkeys and Jim Millers, you have to try and pivot somewhere. And I think Elliott is one of those options, because although I'm not sold on his ability to win or where his head is at this stage, I am confident that he has upside in his style of fighting. If he chooses to go there, it's a good matchup for him against Altamirano, who gives up takedowns, gives up control, and I'm willing to take risks on Elliott at 9K. He will be my tournament play of the week. All right, my salary play of the week, I'm going to roll with someone who's not as chalky. Let's go with Muin Gafarov at 7.8K. Gafarov is an underdog to John Castaneda, plus 115. I see, and I almost gave this fight out as my fight of the week because I really like the pace of this matchup. Castaneda was just in a war with Daniel Santos. I think Castaneda could defend some takedowns, win by knockout, and I like Castaneda on DraftKings as well. Gafarov is a newcomer to the UFC, and he's more of a wrestling-dependent fighter, which is why I want to target him. We need big scores, considering Miller and Malarkey are priced very cheaply and have huge upsides. We have to focus on ceiling, and Gafarov lost in the Contender Series, landed 5 takedowns. He is a decent wrestler, capable of landing takedowns at volume, and he's fighting an opponent in Castaneda who, just gave up 2 takedowns to Daniel Santos, was taken down by Eddie Wineland, was taken down by Nathaniel Wood, was taken down by Jaden Loha in his Contender Series fight in 2017. He's just, he's not the best wrestler. Defends takedowns at 60%. He can scramble back up to his feet just fine. But the point is, if Gafarov wins, it's either early power in his hands or most likely wrestling. And wrestling scores very well. He could top 100 points even in a decision win. He probably won't be that chalky. Let me pull up his inside the distance line here. I see it at plus 300. And obviously he's priced near Albazi, and he's priced above the chalk in Miller and Malarkey. So I don't think Gafarov will be extremely popular, which is one of the reasons I like him. He does save salary, 7.8K, and he has some of the best wrestling equity on this slate. He's the type who I'm just going to want to target every time he fights. I am not super confident that he wins this matchup, but again, only plus 115 on the money line. When he does win, I think it comes with wrestling. I like that ceiling from him, and I think he's a good salary option at 7.8K. And finally, my matchup of the week, I will go with Daniel Santos versus Johnny Munoz. Santos is a favorite at minus 214. Munoz plus 181 is the underdog. Santos is 9.2K on DraftKings. Munoz is 7K. Santos will be chalky, unfortunately, but he had an absolute war with John Castaneda, in which he was dropped a couple times early and just came back to wear Castaneda down and finish him in the second round. And Santos has already proven in only 2 UFC fights that he's very aggressive, loves to exchange, doesn't really have much defense, but is pretty offensively pronounced. He's offensively sound, threatening, and I think he's going to go after Munoz. So I expect the pace of this fight to be pretty high. I expect a high number of exchanges. I think Santos is going to want to outstrike Munoz and test his chin. Munoz, a very, very solid submission grappler, is probably going to either have to hurt Santos to get this win, or more likely take him down, use his elite BJJ skills, take the back of Santos, control him, or find a submission. The fight as a whole is minus 215 to end inside the distance. That's pretty good. Santos will be chalky at 9.2K. If you're going to play him, maybe you consider pivoting off Malarkey or Miller or Albazi below. But I do think Santos has knockout upside, and he's a solid floor, moderate ceiling at the price tag. Munoz rates out as one of the better pivot options in this range. Again, priced between Jim Miller and Jamie Malarkey. So all the ownership is going to be soaked up between those two. Munoz obviously a much less chance to win the fight, but when he does win, should come from grappling or a knockout, decent chance it comes inside the distance, and I think he scores very well for 7K. And considering Santos has shown poor defensive tendencies, I do think Munoz is at least live in this spot. I'm willing to target this fight moderately, come in a bit overweight to the field. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week's UFC Quick Picks. Thank you again for the support. You can follow me on Twitter, Brett Appley, _T_P, dailyfanmma.com for all your DraftKings breakdowns needs. Best of luck in your contest this week. Take care. Stay safe. We'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.